Welcome to the third segment of this session. What we saw as of now that if there is a force majeure clause in any contract, then things are quite easy because then the parties will rely on that and whatever is agreed between that clause will be followed. So it becomes very easy for the parties to pursue a particular contract. But what if there is no force majeure contract? Then whether the question is, can you rely on the doctrine of impossibility or frustration, and can you claim that okay, the contract be void or it should be exited, and likewise. So we'll see first on this part that whether can you invoke doctrine of frustration and how Supreme Court has been held so far in various cases, that what happens to the doctrine of frustration in particular scenarios. Now there are various cases around it. So say for example, there is a case of Energy Watchdog versus Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. So what had happened in this case was there is a Mundra Ultra Mega Power Project wherein the power supply was to be for three states, that is Gujarat, Haryana and Rajasthan, was being procured. So the tariff for the sale of power was to be obviously determined by a competitive bidding process as per the electricity regulatory laws. Now in this competitive bidding process, the parties could have chosen escalable tariff clause and non-escalable tariff clause. Now what happened was both Adani and Tata quoted a non-escalable tariff in the costing, and thereby they entered into the power purchase agreements. After some years, there was a change in the Indonesian law wherein the coal which they exported from Indonesia, the prices were almost doubled, which didn't happen for 40 odd years, wherein Adani and Tata had entered into an agreement, and because there was no escalation for coal by the Indonesian government till that point of time. Now what happened, because of the increase in coal price, it became onerous for both the parties, and they invoked the doctrine of frustration that oh, this is a high cost plus there is a change in law and the Indonesian government by the Indonesian government in the Indonesia, and that's why this doctrine be used for. However, the court did say that as per agreed in the Alopi Parshad case or be it Satyabrata Ghosh case, so it was always being held by the Supreme Court that if you have entered into a contract, the court will rely on the obligations agreed to it. Now, if it has become onerous to you, it has become more difficult for you to perform, the prices have increased, the court will not look and they will say that okay, you will have to perform your piece of obligations or your piece of contract which you have agreed to. So that's why invoking the doctrine of frustration requires a very large thresholds and a higher thresholds, what we have seen in the earlier segment. Now here onwards we'll go to some specific type of contracts which we would like to discuss in terms of how are these being held in the recent times. Now for example, there has been a recent case of Delhi High Court wherein it is in the case of Ramananda and others versus Dr. Girish Soni and another, where the question was, can a tenant seek shelter under the circumstances of COVID-19 for suspension of rent on account of force majeure? So here typically the tenant invoked that oh, there is a COVID scenario, the business is being totally disrupted because of COVID, and that's why there should be suspension of rent. Now the court again held that yes, if there is something which is agreed in the lease deeds or the leave-in license agreements, then of course the transactions would be governed by those. But if it is not the case, then of course the courts will then there is another thing which you will have to look out is under section 108B subsection E of the Transfer of Property Act. There is a similar kind of provision with reference to like force majeure. So where it is being mentioned that if it is fire or flood or violence of an army or a mob or an irresistible force by which the property is totally destroyed or partly destroyed or substantially and leading to substantial or permanent unfit for the purpose, then of course that the lease will be at option can be void. So here what is seen is again the relevance or the important words which are being highlighted are substantially and permanently unfit for the purpose. Now, if you see the COVID scenarios, it is not leading to an unfit purpose or there is no destruction of property as such. It's just that temporary you are not able to enter into the premises or not go to the premises which you have taken on lease. So again, it is highlighted that yes, if it is in the force majeure clause agreed between the parties, then you may. Though the court in this particular case agreed for a deferred payment. So the payment obligation here which you had may be deferred to some extent considering the financial crisis and equitable grounds, etc. But the question remains that whether can you say, oh, there is you can't, you won't, there should be a waiver of payment from the rental premises, and likewise that is strictly very difficult to be assessed, and I don't think, in my personal opinion, it would be really feasible in the absence of a specific contract or a clause which is there in your lease or leave and license agreement. Okay, now we are going to see about another important aspect of with respect to employment laws, because what has happened, this COVID scenario has also led to a lot of job loss. There are a lot of layoffs which are happening in the industry because yes, the like we saw, the sales is not happening, there is no top line, that there is a revenue impact on the companies. And then in such scenario, whether obviously the only option which sometimes remains is cost reduction, then in particular scenario, can the companies take a levy, or can they lay off, or whether there can be termination, whether they can not pay the employees is the question. Now, just to take you to a brief background about this, in the Ministry of Labor and Employment had issued an advisory on March 20, 2020, advising all the employers of public and private establishment to extend their cooperation by not terminating the employees. Now, it is especially in the case of casual or contract workers. And they also advised that please don't, advisory was also that don't reduce the wages of such employees. Now the advisory further stated, in case of place of employment is made non-operational due to COVID, then the employees of such unit will be deemed to be on duty. So in a way, even if you're not able, now because this typically happened with the manufacturing sectors, where if the workers are not able to go to the factory, obviously their daily wages and things will get impacted. But the question and the advisory in this case was that let them be treated as deemed to be on duty, and thereby, various state governments also issued that order that let it be treated as paid leaves or paid wages for such kind of scenario. Now, after this kind of advisory was being issued, the another MHA order was recently being issued, and whereby this was being withdrawn by the government on with effect from May 18, 2020. So there are two scenarios where earlier where the wages was being advised to be paid and not the contractors or the employees being not terminated as an advisory from the government, and of course it will be treated as deemed to be dutied in such case. Now what happened was there were a lot of pleas which was being filed, writs were being filed in the Supreme Court of India, both from the side of the employers that if we don't have any money, obviously how, whether it is our duty to pay the employees or not. This was one plea from the side of the employers. Plus there was other plea that since it's a welfare legislation, so the employer should pay the employees even if they are not going to the employment, like the manufacturing setups and all, or the factories for that matter, because of the COVID and the government restriction. And of course that since government has declared it's a force majeure and the restriction on the movement of employees, that's why this be dealt with accordingly. But recently in this Ficus Pax Private Limited versus Union of Others, the court finally held that, and of course it's still under matter is sub judice and there are still hearings going on, but as of now it is being that it cannot be, the Supreme Court held that it cannot be disputed that both industry and laborers, they need each other, so it either of them cannot work without each other. So what they suggested is the midway, that an effort should be made sort of to tackle the differences and disputes between the workers and employees regarding payment of wages. And if there is any settlement is to be reached, that would be the ideal scenario. Or else, of course, the labor authorities may come into picture and all. So the matters has to be yet kind of so the current scenario is such that most of the employers and employees are into a negotiation mode, because everybody knows going into court will not solve the problems. So that's why the negotiation is going on. Plus, if there is termination of employees, we will have to remember then the Industrial Dispute Act comes into picture, and the termination related procedure like the retrenchment law or retrenchment compensation and everything comes into picture. So if it is a layoff, then again Industrial Dispute Act comes into picture, and if it is a termination of employees, then again Industrial Dispute Act comes into picture, which will be the major thing which have to be considered. So this is what we saw about general understanding about the contracts. Plus there is a moratorium also being given by the Reserve Bank of India, has been now extended, that the loan transactions is further extended to 31st of August. So please also note that it is a deferred payment. It doesn't waive off the rights. It's not that you don't have to pay anything. It's not a waiver per se. It is just a deferment of the payments involved. So this is what we saw about general understanding about the contracts, that how contracts like in terms of construction contracts or any other contracts for that matter, how force majeure and doctrine of frustration plays role, plus employment related laws, how things become over here because of the government advisories which are being issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs. And of course what we saw is the in terms of other contracts things takes place. Now in the next segment we are going to deal with the mergers and acquisition transactions. Thank you.